What's up, everybody? Thank you for coming back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about something very important, and that is color grading, but more importantly, color grading with Dehancer film emulation. So many times we try to color grade and try to replicate film. And if you guys know, having one of these or having one of these, it gives you a certain look. And sometimes you're just not able to reproduce that exact look. But the good guys over at Dehancer actually gave me the opportunity to test out and review this product. And I said, sure, why not? Since I'm always color grading different footage, I said, why not give it a try? So I decided to go out, get some clips, see how I can grade it, see how it looks in the light, see how it looks in the dark. There's many different features about Dehancer that can make this program so great. So I want to push it to the limits. So let's dive into the computer and see exactly what happened. But before we get into that, I want to show you guys a clip that I did when I first downloaded the product. And when I tell you I was actually amazed, considering that this is my first time using it, the results straight out of the gate, it made me want to do some more. So let's get into it. Now, I graded that using the Dehancer plugin within DaVinci Resolve, and this was actually shot on a Canon R5C, and the film emulation was Kodak Gold 200. Kodak Gold is one of those film stocks that it gives you a warm, saturated feeling, but it gives you a more realistic, natural tone. And especially if you're shooting something in the daylight, you want something that brings some sort of memory to it, and that's what the Film Enhancer plugin did. It gave a nostalgic feel to it, and I was very impressed from that straight out the gate. I took it a step further and I said, what else can I do with it? So I decided to go through all the plugins, because I believe it has about 63 plugins and continuously updating. So I chose another film stock and I said, what else can I do with this film stock? And for those people who don't know, Dehancer has their own blog, which can give you some color grading shots that shows different film stocks and shows what people have actually captured from this and actually have reproduced. So don't fret. There's always a way that you can find out, even if you don't know. And if you want to get some more tips on that, I personally use another site, which is called Lomography. And you can simply type in exactly the type of film stock that you're looking for. And it'll also give you some screen grabs from some other shots that people had taken, right? So with that being said, let's go in, dive into a clip. Here I have a clip. This is more of an establishing shot, right? Now this establishing shot shows the restaurant and it also shows a car, but I'm really showcasing the car and I want to highlight the restaurant. So now what film stock could I actually use to get the type of look? Now, since I've already used the Kodak, I think I want to deep dive into it and use something different, like let's say Fujifilm or something. So let's go into it. I have my clip here. I go into my color tab. As you can see, this is a plain shot. It's shot in log footage, your profile. Now, some people say that you can use it in Rec 709, but as you see, when you just put on the plugin, it has a default setting. So a lot of things you have to enable or disable to get exactly the look that you're looking for, all right? So me personally, I like to go into it, tell it exactly what's going on. So I like to choose my camera. I have a Canon, I have a R5C, and it was shot in C-Log3 Cinema Gamut. So straight out the gate, it's looking okay, right? But I have to change the type of film stock that I want. So let's go down to a Fujifilm stock and let's try Fujicolor Pro 400H. This is another film stock that it's somewhat vibrant and it really puts to the forefront a lot of the summerish colors. And that's the look that I'm going for with this, all right? So I have that enabled. Now let's make our edits while we go into it. Now using DaVinci, a lot of people would say it's best to actually put noise reduction on it before, but it's kind of counterintuitive if you think about it. You want noise reduction, but you don't want the grain. So a little bit of noise in the film is not really that bad, but once again, it depends on the look that you're going for. And this was shot around afternoon time, so it really wouldn't be that much noise into it. So if your film has some noise and you're shooting something in the afternoon or in the evening, you can just simply go into your noise reduction and you can actually change it. I'll add it to about there and blend it to about 9, since it's not bad. It doesn't really have anything. I'll change this to temporal down to better, and then I'll bring this up to about the same, and then I'll blend it into about the same, all right? So that means now anything prior to the Dehancer plugin, it will have noise reduction applied to it. Now, if you're working with a computer that is not as fast, you might have to render it out, or you might have to wait till it produces an optimized media for it to go through, all right? So let's go into the settings. So we have our Fuji Color Pro. Do I want to push and pull? Currently at the moment, I want to leave it as is because I want to see what it looks like straight out the gate base, right? As far as my exposure is concerned, might want to up it up just a tad, all right? Now, Fujifilm is known to have a lot of green colors, so what I'm gonna do is I am going to, if I pull it to the left, you can see it turn to the blue. If I adjust it here, I get a little bit more of the green, which is somewhat that I'm looking for, right? So I'm gonna leave it around there. And also gives a little golden highlight in the background, so that's also good, right? Once again, the tints, I can also change that too, put more green, or I can put a little bit more magenta. But I want the ground to be a little bit on the magenta side, so I'm gonna put it to about there. Everything else I'll just leave the same. So I can close the input and I can close the film. Now, one thing that I would like to take off is the film grain. I'll get back to it later, but starting out, I just wanna make sure the image is okay before I add any film grain to it, okay? And let's go down to the print. Now, linear, it looks all right, but since I'm doing this Fujifilm, the Fujifilm gives a little bit more contrast to it, right? That is something that I'm looking for out of this. The Kodak is okay. It takes away the contrast, but I don't really think that's something that I really want. So I'm gonna put it back to the Fujifilm print and give the contrast. It gives a little bit more lift in the shadows, if you ask me, and that's something that I'm looking for when I shoot this. So your target whites, we can mess with that. Oops, I gotta go back down here and change so I can have my waveform actually parade. So my target whites, I think I'll bring that down a little bit here. Exposure, I want a moody look, so I'm gonna bring it down a bit. All right, my tonal contrast, see, once again, I'm crushing the blacks a little bit more than necessary. Do I need to? Not really, but it depends on the look that you're going for. So because I want to actually accentuate what's going on in the background, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Now, your color density, that is a very important tool, all right? Now, it's almost like the richness of your color. I like to mess with it, see exactly what I like depending on it. I'll just add it up to about there, give it a little richness to it. Now, even though it is somewhat crushed, at least on the dark end, it still is towards the look that I'm going for, so I'm liking that. This is one button right here, the analog range limiter. Because I've already set what I want as far as the highlights and the crushed blacks, I really don't need to set the analog range limiter because then it'll be taking away and it'll be actually expanding the film more than what I really want. So I'm just gonna uncheck that, all right? So now let's go back up. Film compression, once again, setting your tonal range just a little bit more of the richness as far as how you want the film. And oops, it wasn't enabled before. I was wondering why it wasn't enabled. Right? So your tonal range, don't want to expand it too much, but I'll bring it around there. And once again, my color density, so you can see it again. I was wondering why it wasn't showing before. all right? That's what I'll leave it at for that. I have my print, I have expand. Now, everything on here you don't actually have to touch, but just to go through it for review purposes so that everybody understands the capacity of this program, we're gonna dibble and dabble. We can set our black point once again, but that's counterintuitive to me crushing it, so I'm just gonna put it back to what it was at. I can disable it, it's not really touching it, as you can see, it's not doing much to it, so I'm just gonna disable it for right now. My color head. Now this is where those colorists actually find the most detail within doing film production, because now you can actually change the outlook of this actual film. So do I wanna, let me start by enabling it. I can change it to give it a little bit more of a yellow cast, which is okay. Or we can put it towards a blue cast, and I'm trying to stay away from the blue. So the yellow is somewhat fine for me. The magenta look, I think I like that because once again, it's accentuating what's going on in the background. So I think I'm gonna leave it there, and a little bit more of the red. So it's bringing it to give a glow. And if you notice the lights here, they're glowing a little bit more, and we'll get into that dealing with the halation and the bloom. So that's how I want the outlook of it. Maybe I can turn this down just a bit, not too red, but okay. You also have the shadow tones, the mid-tones, which can address it, but not really gonna dabble with it. The highlight tones. See, if I express, my expression of it would be a little bit more red. That's dabbling into it there, but I'm just gonna leave it there again. And we're gonna be finished with that. Now, the two most important ones, because I have a film like this, I would like to actually touch the halation. So we're gonna enable that, right? Let's see what it looks like. So without it and with it, you can see there's a slight glow with it, all right? Now, one of the best things about this program is that it actually lets you do custom design to what you want. I think that's very good. Sometimes you can just do a one click and done, but to really get into the film production, you want to actually touch all the sliders to see exactly what you like and the possibilities of it. So, Dehancer, thank you for making it a custom piece. Oh, and if anybody would like to actually download this program, I will actually give you a code. It'll be on the bottom of the screen, and you can actually use that whenever you go to Dehancer.com, and you can put that in as your promo code, JONESCOLLECTIVE10, and it will give you 10% off. Currently, at the time of this video, it is $4.49 for this. For what you're getting, I think it's well worth it. So 10% off of it. And it also gives you 2 seats, which means that you can use it on different computers. So I think that's also very good. Going back to this, the halation. Now, because I want a little bit more diffusion on it, you see the halation, it shows the actual location, which is chayote, and you can see that it gives it a nice bloom on it. Now, if I turn, I don't want it to be too much, but highlighting it gives it a nice warm summer day look. If I limit the source here, it'll turn it down, but then again, that's counterintuitive towards it. So turning it down and turning it up there. So that's all I want to touch in the halation. Going to the bloom, I can enable that. Once again, that's giving a way more diffused look, so we can also customize it. But for reference, you have an 8mm, a 16mm, 35, 65mm look. So for mine, I am going to turn it down just a little bit. Once again, just showing you exactly what you can do with this program. All right. I might not want as much. I'm gonna take it away. See, if I amplify it, I think that's going a little bit too far, right? But the bloom that I have already without it is good as well. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't wanna put too much bloom on it. The halation that I have is going good. The film damage, it's nice to have depending on the type of film that the film look that you're trying to emulate. For this, I don't think it's necessary, but I'll enable it It gives you a little jitter. I don't think that's something that I need, considering this is just a location shot for it. But if you want, once again, you can customize it. And to customize it, you can actually change the amount of dust, the amount of hairs, the amount of scratches. You can change the whole look, the opacity. There's so much that you can dibble and dabble into with film damage. And one of the two most, the two most looked into or sought after features would be gate weave and the film breath. So if you don't know what these things are, once again, there is a blog on Dehancer, and you can go into the articles. You can click on the Dehancer profiles, and you can find out more information about anything that you're trying to look for with this program. Like I said, you can talk about the film grain. It gives you examples, the halation. It talks about the bloom. There's so many different things. And going down to the film damage and the film breath, and also the gate weave. So right here, it tells you the gate weave is the mechanical movement of the film as it's pulled through the frame window of a film camera. So it's that slight movement, that jerky effect that you would get if you're using a film camera, especially if you're using like a Super 8 or something like that. So if you ever want to know about it, you can always go to their blogs, or you can go search them on YouTube and they have a video on that. All right. Going back to what we have here, I think a gate weave isn't necessary for me. So I'm not gonna use it. The film breath, I'm not gonna use it. I don't really want a jerky motion, but I want the colors and I want the film emulation from it. Now, using an overscan, this is a stylistic look. A lot of people use this, especially if they just want to highlight a certain part of the film and make it give a certain feel to it. You can use the standard 8mm. You can make it sharp, which will sharpen out those corners there. You can also change the perforation to make it positive, which will give you that white spot there. But for this, I'll just leave it as a negative because I like that. I like the way it looks. Or we can do something else and we can choose the widescreen, which is also a nice look. So I think that this is really good for many people who like to experiment. For some people, it can be a one-click function, but for those who are really colorists and they really want to get a certain look out of it, Dehancer shows you so many options that it has, and I think that's one of the best benefits of using this program. So adding a vignette to it, which will create more of a moody look. I can turn down the exposure, but once again, this was shot like in the afternoon, so I really don't want to make it too dark. The size of it, right? It adds to it, but I don't want to take away because I want to highlight what's going on in the background outside of the car being there. All right, but just some of those things that are available if you ever need it. And then it also has a monitor, which is very good because you can show the false color, which will give you exactly what's going on your IRE scale. So you can see what's overdone, what's underdone. And I think that's very good. Also gives you clipping information. You can see what the highlights and the shadows are looking at. Right, so the monitor option is also very good. And then you have an output. So if after you've done everything and you don't want to use the intensity of it to its fullest capacity, you can turn it down, right? Let's say we leave this at 85, right? So it gives a certain look. It gives a hazy, dreamy look, highlighting the restaurant in the back, but also showcasing the car. And then outside of that, this is one of the most important features, is that you can actually create a LUT from this. So if you have different films or different pieces of footage that is shot in the same location and you want to use that LUT for that specific look under those lighting conditions, you can just simply export a LUT. It'll collect all the information that it has to collect, right? You can now save it into wherever you want to save it. And then you can simply go into your LUTs. And because I've done this already, I have a Dehancer LUT. I've actually done 2 of them. So this is one look, right? So let's just say I disabled, let's save this look, right? Let's save this look. Of course, in DaVinci, you have to grab a still, put it in your gallery. And I'm going to reset the nodes on here, and I'm going to use another look. So let's apply this LUT. This is another look. This looks amazing. So once again, this is before and this is after. It gives a completely different look, but at the same time, all the stylistic choices that you want are actually within it. So let's say I didn't want it so red. Let's add another node. And let's choose another plugin, another LUT. And you can see, once again, still using that same Kodak film, the Fujifilm, sorry, Fujifilm. And it has a nice look. Oops, take this one off. Even if I added both of them, it still gives a good look, but I think that's a little bit overdone. So you can add your own LUT and it comes out pretty good. So once again, who is this for? I think this is for those who are colorists. And even as a beginner, you can just use a one node. Maybe you don't want to use just one node and you actually want to do something different. I have another film stock that I used. I think this was done with the Lomochrome. And if you don't know what Lomochrome does, for this specific one, it is the Lomochrome XR, which is like an extended range. And it gives a more desaturated look. So I wanted to try it against the nature. So this is what it looks like before. And beforehand, it's just an open field, 2 horses playing in the grass, not doing much of anything, right? The greens are a little light on the tone. And then we have the new look. The new look, it gives a little desaturation on the grass because I didn't want it to be as green. And it gives the look that you want. So there's a lot of things that you can try with this program. All you have to do is touch the details to see exactly what you want. Then also, film emulation can also be found on your phone. Now, Dehancer has a program that they have on your phone, which makes it very easy. All you have to do is download it, whether you have Apple or you use an Android. It's called Dehancer. You can simply take a picture. It's going to ask you, would you like to access your photos? And from there, you can select exactly which photo that you're looking for. Now, once you have the photo that you're looking for, it becomes very simple. The same setup that you have here, you choose a photo, it's going to open it. You have all of the film sets that you have, right? So you can go from the Astrum color negative, choose that. You can edit, choose your exposure. Maybe you want to bring it up a little darker. You want to change the saturation. Basically the same tools that are here, all right? Everything that you would possibly see in the actual program as a plugin, you would see on it as a phone, which makes it good to take pictures on the go. So download the program, try it out. There is a free trial for it and use it. See exactly what you want to do. It gives you the same film emulation. It gives you the overscan. It gives you the damage, film damage. You can use the code JONESCOLLECTIVE10, get 10% off. If you've used this program before, let me know, drop a comment. Let me know if you use film. And if you use film, what's your favorite film stock? I want to know exactly what the people like to use. So drop your favorite film stock in the comments. So with that being said, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future updates, especially with Dehancer, because I'm going to dibble and dabble in this a little bit more. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay creative.